So today what we're going to do is start the planning for your 2017. I think that you can accomplish really big dreams, but you also have to have realistic plans because you don't have unlimited time, you don't have unlimited capabilities, so you really need to have a plan in place that you can fall back in when we have those unexpected events that come up. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Karen Krill, and I'm the founder of Sick Neck Moms. I also have another small business which is called Patent Watch Online, where I help solo patent attorneys with their patent administration. I have 2 active boys and 1 husband. I've been lucky enough to be featured on Huffington Post, and my specialty really is helping moms find a way to either start a small business or to run their small business without neglecting and abandoning their families, so that they have a good balance between business, being able to use the brain and the skills and maybe the education that they've developed, but also to maintain their family. So being a mom with active boys, I've struggled. It was really hard at the beginning. I had these big ideas and these big plans that I thought I could do. I knew that there was a way that I could make this work. But I really struggled for a long time, so I decided to take some planning classes from some really famous people. I knew that they had certain techniques and strategies that I needed to learn, and I definitely learned a lot, and there were a lot of really good principles. But the one problem with all of them was that none of them had kids, or they weren't responsible for taking care of their kids. And so I created a plan, I did all the things that they had talked about, and I used these strategies, and I would kind of take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, and I would make a little progress, and then I wouldn't again. And I realized it's because their reality isn't the same as mine. Having kids brings kind of a whole new element to running a part-time business, and that once I kind of planned with my reality in mind, I was able to do so much more. And I was actually able to run my businesses successfully. And so I started working with clients one-on-one, and I really enjoyed that because obviously you get to kind of go in deep and find out about the businesses that the people are running, which is amazing, all the things that some women are doing, but also helping them focus and plan so that they could actually accomplish the things that they wanted to. And so I've had a really good time doing that, but I decided that this year I wanted to try to work on helping more people, and so that's why I decided to do this webinar, this workshop, so that we could kind of have a bigger planning session and I could help more women. So why don't we get started? So today I just wanted to talk about kind of the different areas that we're going to go through. We're going to really focus on calculating the number of working days that you actually have. So after you kind of block off your vacations and holidays and like the calendar for school, you'll actually see the number of days you have, and it's usually much less than you ever would have imagined. That's what I'm always shocked by. I'm like, I only have this much time to do this much work. So then we're going to kind of go through how I think about planning kind of 3 projects. I think 3 projects works well for me. I work only part-time in my business, and so that's kind of a realistic goal for me. You might be able to do more, but at least start with 3, plan those out, and then you can see how it goes from there. I'll talk a little bit about weekly time management kind of tips and some social media tips so that you kind of incorporate that into your plan and think about that too. So the first thing we're going to do is, so grab your calendars. I don't know if you have a calendar. I have mine. I just got it at the dollar store. It doesn't really matter where you get it from because we're really just using it to do the planning. We're going to be marking off things. So the first thing I want you to do is to go through and mark off vacations that you know about. And it can even be a staycation if you're not traveling or something anywhere, but if you know that, okay, this time, like we have a family event or something's happening, we want to cross that off our calendar. So I'm going to be going through this with you. So, usually in the summer, after school is out, we go visit family. So I'm going to mark off some of the weeks for that. So I just literally, put big marks through the calendar. So I know that that is not a working week at all. You can X however you want to do that if it's just 1 or 2 days. And then, obviously, usually around Thanksgiving, we may go away. So I'll mark off that as well. And then Christmas time. is another one that we can go through, so we'll mark that off. And then, you know, I have my kids' school calendar. It's a lovely pink this year, as I can hardly read. So then I'm going to go off and block off all those dates in my calendar. So I'm going to just turn it off and give everyone kind of we'll say 5 minutes to go through and mark off their calendars. I'm going to get another drink of water, and then we'll reconvene in about 5 minutes. So how are you doing? It's really amazing. So I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and so for us, January is looking crazy because we actually go back the 3rd, but we have Martin Luther King Day off on the 16th, we have inauguration off on the 20th, and we have another, for some reason, day off on a professional day, I guess, for teachers on the 27th. So you can see already the month of January is so reduced in the amount of days that I actually have to work. And I hadn't taken that into account before. So, and you know, looking through, we have spring break in April, and they have about 10 days off, so that's quite a long time that I'll have to think about how I'm going to work around that. You know, then we have some of the regular holidays, you know, and I mark off the last day of school. You know, 4th of July, maybe you're going away, so you might want to mark that off. We have at our school a designated day when like sports tryouts can begin for high school, and that whole week is just nonstop tryouts, and so I actually do try to, you know, cross that off my calendar as well. And then, you know, when school starts, I try to cross that. We're starting after Labor Day this year, I believe. And so you can see it really kind of narrows down the number of days that you actually have. So I hope you guys are all doing well with that. So the next thing I want you to think about is, I can put myself back in, kids' activities. So I know, for instance, I have a son who plays soccer on a travel team, and so we have quite a few tournaments kind of in the, I guess, late winter, early spring. So we have quite a few in March. I think we have one in February. So those are weekends where we have to travel. So I'll go through now and kind of mark those off so that I have an idea that I know, okay, I'm not going to be able to get much done for those weekends because a lot of times we even have to travel maybe on the Friday. So I'll mark those off in my calendar that I know about. So, you know, some of you may only know about things, you know, kind of through June or something for the end of the school year, and that's fine. I think though it helps to have kind of that approximation of when you think you're going to have things. You can always kind of move them a couple days here and there at another time or weeks, but at least you've blocked off that time so you know somewhere in your calendar that is not going to work in terms of time. In addition, since I only work part-time, I really say my hours that I work are from 10 to 2. Because then after that, I have to get my kids, and then they have different activities usually, or different things that as a family that we do. So I kind of mark off those in my calendars so I know kind of certain afternoons or certain days are going to be particularly busy. So for instance, I know that, you know, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I soccer practice for 2 hours in the evening. So I know that, you know, I won't have any time to kind of catch up on work then. And I know that from 2 on, those days are gone. So I'll kind of go through those. So if you have an idea, you know, like, you know, you always have music lessons or you have gymnastics or whatever it is, the activity, that you kind of mark that time off. That way it's, or you can visually see the amount of time. I think that really helped me realize when I only have 4 hours to work and some days less than that, it really allows me to focus on the work that I need to get done, and I need to get it done because I don't have buffer time. Some days I have buffer time because I can work in the evening, but I tell my clients that I only work from 10 to 2, and that's when they can access me. If I work in the evenings, that's my choice, and I don't let them think that I always do that. So that's a tip definitely I have. Don't let them think that you will work in the evenings. If you do, it's kind of like a bonus. And a lot of times I'll even wait and I'll schedule it so it goes out in the morning, or I'll send it in the morning myself so that they don't realize that I was working at night, because I don't want them to think that they can just call on me at any time. So put those, you know, activities and tournaments in if you can right now. So I'll give you a minute or two to do that. So you're starting to get a picture of how much time or how little time, depending on how you look at it, that you have. And the first time that I did kind of an activity like this, it was really surprising because, you know, most of the people that I had learned from did the vacations, right? And they did holidays, not necessarily school holidays, but holidays. And so I had gone off of that schedule, not thinking that I really needed to rethink that. And I didn't have enough time to get the things done. And I realized it was because, well, I didn't really take into account some of these odd, you know, professional teacher days off or the activities and the tournaments that they had. And so again, it was that whole missing link of not including my family's activities in my planning and strategizing. So hopefully you've had enough time, or at least approximated, for kind of those first 6 months. Now we're going to go back, and I have what I call buffer days. So usually like at the beginning of the school year and at the end of the school year, they try to cram in so many extra days like international night or back to school night and science night and all these things. And I realized that, you know, having to help my kids with some of these things, and there was just always extra work that I had to do that I didn't always anticipate. I really needed to take the first week off of school on the last week off of school. So I would go back in. And so this year we end, I don't know where you guys all are or where you go to school, but our last day of school is June 16th. And I actually have an 8th grader who is going to have a promotion ceremony. And so I'm sure there's going to be lots of activities for them for their last time there. So I know that for sure I'm not going to get much work done. If I do, it's a bonus, and that's great, but I try not to plan anything that week or kind of around that week. And then I would go on again, like I said, the first week of school and cross that first week off, because again, there always seems to be things that they forgot to do, or there's more sports things or whatever it is, that it's kind of a hairy time, a crazy time, and I just don't seem to be able to get the things done that I want to. The other thing I would do is, so for any of the travel that you have planned, so let's say we have spring break in April, and let's say you're going to travel. I usually put 1 or 2 days on both ends as off. The reason I've done that is because I found that I was getting too crazy trying to prepare everything. You know, I'm usually the one who's planning the things. I'm usually trying to get everyone packed. I mean, my kids pack themselves, but do they do it easily? No. And do they always remember everything? No. So it just was too hectic for me. And so I decided from now on that I would block off the 2 days before, especially a longer trip, and the 2 days after, because when you come back, you're usually tired. There's usually tons of work to kind of catch up on, even just like mail to go through and laundry to do and kind of picking up everything and making sure your kids are organized again to go back to school, kind of with the proper mindset. And only then, after all of that, can you actually go through kind of your emails and your messages and see, you know, what has happened and what you need to kind of address first. So let's go through. And so spring break, I'm hoping to go away. So I'm going to cross off the 2 days before and the 2 days after. So I would definitely do that. Any other times that you're maybe doing a trip, you could be maybe going away for a long weekend, or just other travel days that you might have, again, cross off some buffer days. And I even do that if I don't even for sure know that we're going. I still do that just because I think that it's easier to say, oh, great, I have extra time to do work, than to say, I don't have enough time to do work. So I'm pretty liberal and adding extra kind of buffer days in my calendar to ensure that I have enough time. So I know we're going on a trip in the summer, so I'm going to cross up some of those days. So really think about in your planning, whatever you're doing, to have buffer days. Now, if it's just a holiday and you're just at home, so we have Martin Luther King Day. We have some kind of community activities, but we're not going anywhere. There's nothing. So while I'll take the day off, I don't need a buffer day for that. It's more things that involve a little more of your time, maybe with your family, and especially travel, that always kind of, you know, getting everything organized and packed and everything, that usually takes more of my time, and that takes time away from my business. So that's when I do that. So hopefully you can see, if you kind of look through at least the first 6 months, like January, I have so little time. I didn't realize that. And then April, with our spring break being 10 days and then blocking off some buffer days, there's not much time in April to work either. So it's really amazing when you think about it. So now I want you to go through it. Now, we might not have the time right now to do kind of how many actual days you have, but just kind of look at the weeks. And I would kind of just do the weeks, you know, what you have most of the week, maybe you have a day off or something, but count the number of weeks that you actually have. So, you know, obviously a year has 52 weeks, but the amount of actual weeks that you have for working is usually much less. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So I have about 36 weeks, and within that I have even less days because those are some with like maybe one day or something. So what I would do when you have the time, actually go back through and look at the number of days. And if you're working full time, then you can keep that number. You can figure, I guess, 8 hours a day. But for me, I go back through and I look at the actual number of days, and then I have to cut those hours in half because I only work part-time. So when you actually calculate like really the number of hours and number of days that you have in the year, it's a very small number compared to what you kind of imagine for a whole new year. And this number is so key. Let me just, so why this number is important, because once you have a realistic number of working hours, you know what projects you'll be able to schedule. You know, kind of, you can help with pricing. So if you know you only have time for maybe 3 projects and this is your money goal for the year, you have a better idea how to price those, or the price points that you need to make in order to have this happen. It also helps you focus. Like if you thought you had time for 6 programs and you could have priced them at this, you realize you really only have times for 3. And so that will allow you to focus on the programs that maybe bring in the most money, that are the most popular already, whereas new offerings might be harder because you don't have an idea. And it also helps you know how much you can actually earn. So a lot of people say, okay, I want to do 6 figures this year, but they never actually go back and see the number of days that they have to work. And, you know, some people are like, oh, I have to make, you know, like $10,000 an hour or something because I don't have that much time. So you having this actual number of working days or working hours, if you break it down to that, you'll see the amount that you actually realistically can earn. And I think that allows you to set realistic goals and not end up being frustrated or feeling that you didn't accomplish everything and kind of bad feelings. So I hope you can see how this exercise is so important in allowing you to understand how to plan your year. So like I said, we don't have enough time, and I'll let you guys do some of that on your own, but go back through and think about the number of hours that you have available for that year.